The rancher stood over the shallow grave, shovel trembling in his calloused hands. He hadn't asked questions, just needed the cash. The woman's body lay still, pale under the early morning sun. Dust swirled as he raised the first shovelful of dirt. Then her eyes snapped open. The shovel hit the dry earth with a dull thud. Dust rose in the still morning air as Luke Carver dug, sweat beading beneath his weather-worn hat. The woman had been dropped at his door before sunrise, unconscious, bruised, and wrapped in a tattered blanket. No name, no explanation. Just a thick envelope of cash and a whispered warning, make her disappear. He didn't ask questions. Couldn't afford to. The ranch was dying, the bank circling like vultures. He told himself she was gone already. That this wasn't murder, just cleanup. He laid her gently in the shallow grave, the silence pressing heavy against his ears. She looked peaceful, almost like she was sleeping. He mumbled something that might have been a prayer and scooped the first shovelful of dirt. Then she gasped. Luke froze, the shovel slipping from his hands. Her chest rose with a ragged breath. Eyes fluttered open, wild, desperate, alive. Help, she rasped, voice barely audible. Panic surged through him. His heart pounded like hooves on hard ground. This wasn't supposed to happen. She was supposed to be. What the hell, he muttered, dropping to his knees. He reached for her, unsure if he was trying to save her or silence her again. Her eyes locked onto his, wide with terror, and something inside him cracked. He couldn't do it. With trembling hands, he pulled her from the grave. Dirt clung to her skin, her breath shallow but steady. He had no idea who she was, or who wanted her gone, but someone had lied. Someone had paid him to bury a living woman. And now, they'd both be hunted. The wind howled low across the prairie, dragging the scent of dust and regret. Colt Mathers stood over the open grave, boots planted in the cold earth, shovel in hand. The woman lying at the bottom hadn't stirred in hours, her skin pale, her breath undetectable. He'd checked. Twice. He hadn't asked who she was. The man who'd handed him the money said she was trouble. Said the world was better off without her. Colt didn't care. The ranch was falling apart, and the wolves at his door didn't wear fur. He dug in silence, the sound of metal striking soil filling the vast emptiness. One more shovelful, and she'd be covered. One more act, and maybe he could sleep again. Then she blinked. A flutter, just a flicker of eyelashes, and Colt dropped the shovel. God almighty, he breathed, stumbling back. She coughed, a dry rasp clawing its way from her throat. Her fingers twitched, dragging through the dirt. Eyes opened, clouded with confusion and fear, locking onto his. Please, she whispered. Colt's heart thundered. This wasn't part of the deal. The man had said she was done. No pulse, no breath. Dead. But she wasn't. He stared down at her, the woman he was moments from burying alive. The silence stretched between them like a noose. He could finish the job. No one would know. One more shovelful. But something in her gaze, desperate, human, cut through the fog in his mind. He reached down instead, his rough hand meeting hers. Whoever she was, whatever the truth, he couldn't be that man. Not today. The ground was soft from last night's rain, the kind that soaked deep and made things sink easier. Jack Hollis dug quietly beneath the gnarled cottonwood tree, breath shallow, hands raw. The grave didn't need to be deep, just hidden. Out here, no one asked questions. Especially not for the kind of work Jack had just taken. The body lay wrapped in an old canvas tarp. Light enough to carry, heavy enough to make him sweat. No ID, no words exchanged, just cash in a dirty envelope and a time, dawn. He dropped to his knees to roll her in. The tarp unfurled slightly, revealing part of her face. Young. Dirt smudged. Almost peaceful. He paused. A memory flickered, his sister's face, long gone now. It shook him, but not enough to stop. Not until he saw it. Eyes. Open. Staring straight at him from the pit. His breath caught in his throat. She wasn't blinking, but those eyes weren't dead. They were fixed, alert. Watching. Christ, he whispered, stumbling back. She didn't move. Not a muscle. But her eyes, there was something behind them. A question? A warning? He knelt slowly, unsure if he was losing his mind. Rain pattered through the leaves above, steady like a drumbeat. "Are you alive?" he asked, voice cracking. No answer. Just silence and those eyes. He couldn't do it. Couldn't bury her. Not with those eyes still holding onto something. Hope? Fury? Jack backed away, heart thudding, shovel forgotten. Whatever she'd seen, whatever she knew, he had a feeling this wasn't the end. Just the beginning. Clay Danner hadn't meant to be part of anything like this. He was a rancher, not a killer. But drought had taken his cattle, the bank was eyeing his land, and his wife's medicine didn't come cheap. Desperation didn't knock, it kicked the damn door in. They told him she was dead. Just a clean-up job, the man said, placing the wrapped figure in Clay's old pickup. No names. Just money, more than he'd seen in years. He drove out past the ridge, where the soil was loose and no one ever went. A place for burying things best forgotten. The grave was half dug when he finally looked at her. Young. Bruised. Still. He knelt, hand trembling as he unwrapped a corner of the blanket. Her face was pale and silent, but not lifeless. Then she blinked. Clay dropped the shovel. He stared, mouth dry, as her eyes flitted open and landed on him, terrified, pleading. She coughed, a dry whisper of air scraping her throat. "Help, me." The words split him in half. She was alive. And someone had paid him to put her in the ground. He stood there, caught in the middle of a revelation that hit harder than any fist. He had become the kind of man his father warned him about. A man who did wrong, then tried to sleep through it. Clay reached down, voice shaking. "You're all right now. I ain't gonna hurt you." As he lifted her from the shallow grave, the rancher's world shifted. The money meant nothing now. Neither did the land. Because somewhere out there, someone thought she was gone. And they'd come looking. The night was quiet, too quiet for what Silas Boone was about to do. The desert swallowed sound, wrapped the stars in silence, and watched as he shoveled dirt from the earth. He was alone, save for the bundle in his truck bed, wrapped in canvas and stained dark near the edges. Silas hadn't planned on this. But when the man in the suit offered 10 grand and a simple job *, dig a hole, no questions *, he'd said yes before thinking twice. His ranch was bankrupt. His name meant nothing in town anymore. And now, he was standing over a half-dug grave, trying to convince himself it was too late to care. He dragged the bundle out, grunting as it hit the ground. He didn't want to see her face, but the tarp slipped anyway. The sun had barely crested the horizon when Eli Turner arrived at the edge of the field. His boots sank into soft earth damp with overnight dew. In his hands, the shovel felt heavier than ever. He glanced at the woman lying wrapped in a faded blanket, pale and still, as if she were already part of the land. The man who hired him didn't say much, just enough to keep Eli's head down and hands busy. No questions, no mercy. Just bury her, and don't look back. Eli dug with quiet desperation, each shovelful of dirt falling like a countdown to something worse. The weight of the silence was almost unbearable until a faint sound broke through. A whisper, soft and nearly swallowed by the wind. He stopped. Held his breath. Again, that faint whisper, barely a breath, but unmistakable. "Help!" His heart thundered. He dropped the shovel and knelt by her side. Her eyes fluttered open, clouded but alive, searching. "Please," she said, voice trembling like the last leaf on a dying tree. Eli's hands shook as he brushed dirt from her face. This wasn't supposed to happen. She was meant to be gone. Buried deep enough to keep secrets safe. But the earth had betrayed its silence. The whispers weren't just the wind, they were her, alive beneath the dirt, fighting to be heard. And now, Eli knew the truth, burying her would bury him too. There was no turning back. The dirt held more than earth, it held promises, lies, and a story begging to be unearthed. He would have to listen. Because some whispers refused to stay buried.